Mr. Heavyweight Boxing today?
Hey, what's up, man? This is Chris, the Nightmare Ariola, and you're watching Mr. Boxing Today.
Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? All right, so I want to talk about two different heavyweight fights here because at the end of the day, I think that the winner, who I believe will be of these fights, I think they will fight each other eventually, or at least I hope so. I hope Top Rank makes the fight, man. But first, let's talk about the fight that's going to take place August 27th. And you got Jared Anderson taking on Miljan Rovcanin. Now, Rovcanin is a guy that I've done a prospect watch video on years ago. I remember talking about the Dimitrenko fight, also his fight with Ajay Kabayel. So I'm familiar with Rovcanin. I just think he's made to order for Jared Anderson. I'm going to pick Anderson in this fight. I'm going to tell you why. Rovcanin, like the Dimitrenko fight, for instance, and like a lot of his fights, he fights his style and the rhythm that he fights at a certain rhythm where he bounces on his feet. It's like a bounce, then he'll stop, let his puncher go. Bounce around, stop, let his punches go. Bounce, and that type of rhythm, I think Jared Anderson will be able to pick off rather easily with counter punching. He's the faster puncher, maybe even the harder puncher. And I think he has a better defense than Rovcanin. He moves his head a lot better offline. Rovcanin isn't a guy, he doesn't really fight that well going backwards. He loves to come forward, loves to dart in and out. Like I say, likes to bounce on his feet, stop, dart in and out with a 1-2-3, jab, right hand, left hook type of situation. Really isn't an inside fighter. He will, if you wrap him up, he'll, sit and wait for the ref to break you. Now you look at his two defeats. He had the disqualification loss against Dimitrenko, and he was stopped against Ajay Kabayel. I was not able to see that Kabayel fight, was not able to obtain any footage of that fight. But I do remember talking about that fight, giving a prediction, but wasn't able to see that fight. But based on Ajay Kabayel's style, he likes to put up the high guard. He can fight, coming forward, moving side to side. He can fight a little bit going backwards. But I wish I could have seen some footage of that fight. Now, the fight against Dimitrenko, the disqualification loss, that fight was actually, at the end of the fight, it was announced as a split draw. And then about 3-4 weeks later, the German Boxing Federation came back and said, hey, man, Rovcanin had 3 points deducted after that third one. That should have been a disqualification. So 3 weeks later, they ended up changing the result, and it turned into a disqualification loss for Rovcanin. But if you watch that fight, it was an evenly fought fight. He was bouncing in and out, throwing combinations. Those point deductions, man, were suspect. At least 2 out of 3 of them. Dimitrenko was, when they would break or when they would get into a clinch, Dimitrenko would turn his head in the clinch. Now, Rovcanin did, on one of the point deductions, he did hit Dimitrenko with a shot after the break, but literally it was like a light jab. I thought the ref was overreacting in that instance, in my opinion. Man, I thought he was taking points away rather quickly. I thought he was being biased. I even said that in my post-fight video to that fight. But to me, Dimitrenko was having success against Rovcanin when he was keeping Rovcanin at distance with his jab, not allowing him to dart in with the 1-2-3 combination. Just keeping him on the outside, have him thinking with his high guard up, and just being an easier target to land your shots. And I thought Dimitrenko was doing a good job on Rovcanin in that manner, keeping him outside with that jab and lining up that right hand. He was having success doing it. All right. So if he was able to do it, I think Jared Anderson is a much better technician than Dimitrenko, faster puncher, and he has a better jab with defense. I think he's going to be backing Rovcanin up. He's not going to allow him to dart in and out. I think it's going to be a pretty impressive victory for Jared Anderson at the end of the day. All right, so that's what I'm going to go with Jared Anderson in that fight. And Jared Anderson is going to make him fight on the inside. He's going to go to his body. And Rovcanin does not like to do that. So I think the body work may surprise people in this one. All right. Now, a fight that's going to take place September 16th. You got Arslanbek Mahkmudov taking on Carlos Takam, man, the veteran Takam. look, Arslanbek, I seen on Fight News a couple days ago. He inked the deal with Top Rank, so this is why I think him and Anderson, that fight should be easy to make. But before I get to that, let me talk about Mahkmudov taking on the veteran, the wily veteran Takam. Look, man, last time I saw Takam in the ring, he was in there with Joe Joyce. He got stopped in the sixth. That was what, a year ago, a little over a year ago, somewhere around there. And we've seen Takam in some, well, the fight before that, he fought Jerry Forrest in a back and forth fight. But you've seen him in there with Chisora and AJ and Parker, Tony Thompson way back in the day. My favorite Takam fight was the Povetkin fight. I thought that was a really, really good fight, man. Action-packed fight. Takam was giving me his best impression of James Toney type of fighting in that fight. He ended up getting knocked out, man, but that was a really entertaining fight. But I don't think Takam has what it takes to beat a guy like Mahkmudov. Mahkmudov is I mean, it goes without saying, right, that he's heavy-handed, 14-0 with the 14 knockouts. Even watching his fights in the World Series of Boxing, man, he's just always been heavy-handed, 6'6", 260 pounds. But the thing about it is, in order to give Mahkmudov trouble, you got to be able to tie him up, which Marius Wach was able to do. He was tying him up, walking him backwards, getting him against the ropes. Mahkmudov doesn't seem like he wants to really fight on the inside. You know, he's comfortable with just tying up, letting the ref break you guys up, and then he'll get back to fighting you from there. But it doesn't really seem like he wants to fight on the inside or hang on the inside and work with his offhand. Doesn't really seem like that type of fighter. It doesn't seem like he really wants to fight going backwards. And these are things Takam will have to do. I mean, he can try to wing over a left hook or overhand right. Those are his best punches, or his best opportunity to win, in my opinion, is try to counter Mahkmudov with one of those type of punches. Try to go to the body to bring his hands down and try to, come over the top with something. But he doesn't, I just see him getting just pushed backwards, man, and getting into a shell where he has to put his guard up, kind of like how he was in there with Joyce at the end, trying to put his guard up and duck and weave and bob and get out the way, and it's just too much offense coming from too far of a distance, and I don't think he's going to be able to counter effectively out of that position that he's going to be in. So I see him get knocked out early in this fight, man. Now, if him and Jared Anderson fight Mahkmudov, now I'm looking way far ahead now. This is going on if they both win their fights, all right? Anderson's fighting on the 27th this month, and then next month, Mahkmudov is fighting Takam on the 16th. But if they were to fight, I think that Anderson, he can fight on the inside. He's not just going to wait till the ref just sits there and breaks. You know what I'm saying? But can Anderson stand up to the power that Mahkmudov is going to be dishing out? I know Mahkmudov is going to get hit, but Anderson punches really fast, man. And like I said, I haven't really seen Anderson go around on the back foot either. I'm not going to say that, that he's a back foot fighter like a Larry Holmes, or, popping the jab and moving around like that. But I have seen Anderson step back, roll, duck under punches and come back and countering, pivoting and stepping off to the side. All right, so I have seen that from him, but just strictly going on the back foot, I haven't seen that. But with Mahkmudov, though, really, I haven't really seen any. I mean, not even, Jonathan Rice was having some success, but yeah, Mahkmudov, man, and his power is seems pretty real, because he knocked out Avery Gibson in the first round. And I know some of you may look at a guy like Avery Gibson's record, and you may come to the conclusion like, look, man, I think Gibson was like 9 wins, 8 losses, 4 draws, but he's this very tricky guy. He represented us in the World Series of Boxing. Good amateur, has been in a lot of training camps and different fighters training camps out there on the West Coast. And he's a very crafty type of individual, right? He'll take guys the distance or get a draw. He took Hunter the distance, Simon King, Bogdan Dinu, a lot of those guys. So for Mahkmudov to go in there and just get him out of there and won, that's telling. And Jonathan Rice is another one that he stopped. He stopped Rice on his feet. You can argue that the ref could have let it go on for a little bit longer, but even after they stopped it, when Rice was walking to his corner, he got stopped on his feet. When he was walking to his corner after, he was still not on steady legs. So it looked like he would have end up being put on his back eventually. But a guy like Jonathan Rice, man, credit to him. He won his last 2 fights against Michael Polite Coffey, And his only other stoppage defeat, he literally got stopped with seconds to go in the 10th round against Dempsey McKean. So and you could have probably argued that they could have let that fight go to its duration, but they ended up stopping the fight. But Rice is a tricky, crafty, big dude. You know what I'm saying? So for Mahkmudov to be stopping these dudes rather easily, man, or is pretty telling. Um, but his last fight, Mahkmudov, was against Marius Wach, and he took care of business. Like I said, Wach had a little bit of success holding, and I saw some things there that made me think, like, damn, man, if somebody can clinch Mahkmudov and, you know what I mean, fight him in the trenches as far as fight him on the inside, walk him back a little bit, tie him up, tire him out, make him miss, counter him, but easier said than done, man. But just want to talk about these two fights, and I'm kind of projecting, man. I want to see Mahkmudov take on Jared Anderson, and hopefully both guys go into a fight holding their undefeated records and their perfect KO percentages intact. I think that for marketing purposes would be great, man. But y'all, let me think in the comment section. I'm gone.